Hello and welcome back. We're going to finish up part two of our Southern colonies with North and South Carolina, Georgia, and just revisit the backcountry for just a moment. North and South Carolina, when they first started, they were one colony called Carolina. They found it was pretty hard to try to govern it. It was such a big area that they split it in two, into North and South Carolina. The point of emphasis we're going to talk about here is in the Carolinas, and you stretch down into Georgia, is about 5% of the people had money as they went through, and about 95% of the people were poor. And we'll show the reasons why that happened. Okay, there's North Carolina, and right below it, South Carolina. Okay. As I mentioned, it was first one big colony, and then they split it right down the middle. This Carolinas, they were basically two groups of people. The 5% that were rich or wealthy, these were the large plantation owners. Okay, they were on the East Coast, and then not only did the Carolinas, but they stretched up and down the coast. Okay, the rest of the people who lived west were mostly poor farmers, and they did not have a lot of money. They lived in squalor, and just a very few select people had it. Something that we talk about is along the East Coast, where the plantations were, something called the Tidewater region. So over here, those are like our mountains with the Appalachian Mountains, and then you have a Piedmont region, kind of a flat land, kind of farming. But then you get down here, the Tidewater region. This is where the rivers kind of flow, the land's flat, and it's just this wonderful soil that they have for growing. And with the temperature, they grow tobacco, sugar, rice. So this area right here, they can transport their goods through the rivers, but the soil quality here is so good. But there's not much of it, and it's kind of first come, first serve. So the 5% of the people that got it scooped it up pretty quickly. This is just one of the pictures of an old time plantation house. See, it's pretty nice, pretty fancy. Okay, so this is where when you talk about the plantations of the South, most of them were on the Tidewater region on the East Coast. Here's a larger picture, a drawing. You had the slaves working in the cotton fields and their buildings behind them. Okay, so the more plantations you had, the more slavery, and it continued to grow for the next 150 years. Okay, we said the second class of people were the poorer people. Again, these were people inland, and they didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of good growing area. Okay, this was between the Tidewater region and the Appalachians. But you can see here they're farming, and if you can imagine living in a little shack like that, there's five people right there. That was home. Okay, so basically you slept. It was very warm, so that's where you slept with. The rest of the day you spent outside and probably working in the fields. As we're finishing up with the backcountry, with the Carolinas, we talked about that a little bit before. But again, just to review, this is the area of land that is between what the colonies would have and on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains, where a lot of people from different countries came and settled. And at first, they got along with the Native Americans, but as more and more people moved up and down the East Coast in all three regions of the colonies, more and more problems had, and we'll be covering that as we go. There's just some pictures of what the original backcountry would have. Here's some fun facts from North Carolina that you can look at and pause. The last one there, the Wright brothers, Kitty Hawk in 1903, Orville and Wilbur Wright. There's a couple pictures of them getting their plane ready to fly. That's kind of what they're known for. Fun facts about South Carolina, if you want to take a look. There is Myrtle Beach. And of course, I don't have it in here. I think I have on my other slides. The Battle of Fort Sumter is in South Carolina. That was the first battle of the Revolutionary War. And we'll be talking about that down the road as well. The last colony we're finishing up with here is Georgia. Georgia was not developed for religious reasons. Georgia was quite the opposite. There were three reasons why Georgia was developed. It was granted to a gentleman named James Oglethorpe. And what there were at this time, there was a lot of poor people in Europe, and they couldn't pay their bills, and they'd get debts, and they would get thrown in prison. Well, when you're in prison, you can't earn any money, so how could they pay their debts? Well, it's sort of like the idea with indentured servants, but you're in prison, okay? So what they did is they brought him to Georgia, and you would work off your debt. Now the conditions were horrible. A lot of people died. It took forever for you to get out of your debt. But if you're sitting in a jail in Europe, and you say, "Hey, you got a chance to get out, go work it off." A lot of people try to take advantage of this. A second reason is Georgia was a very good colony for growing food. They did food for the middle and New England regions, and they also traded food for the European countries. So they made money that way. And the third reason was they paid kind of a buffer between Florida, which was owned by or claimed by Spain, and the other 13 colonies. They didn't want Spain moving up the East Coast. There's that area right there, so they kind of wanted to make sure that they claimed and developed that land and had enough people there in case Spain ever decided to come up to the north. There's some fun facts of Georgia. The last one I got there, of course, the Masters tournament is one of the main things in Georgia at Augusta. I think I've talked pretty much good about the backcountry, so we're going to finish there. Again, we've talked about the three regions: the New England, the Middle, and the Southern region. Hopefully, you finish up strong here. We've got a couple activities for you to do, and we'll be all done with our three regions. All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.